So I saw you recently got nominated for a Juno Award. Congratulations. Talk a little bit about what that meant to you. And I also saw the sort of personal statement in there too. Talk a little bit about that.
Sure. Well, I'm very excited that I got nominated. I haven't been nominated in 11 years. So this is going to be my fourth Juno nomination. But what makes this exciting and cool is that it's been 11 years since my last Juno nomination. So, they haven't, like, the industry hasn't recognized me in that way in a long time. And I've also made the shift in genre. So I used to be in R&B sort of genre, pop genre, and now I'm doing dance music, which I've totally shifted during the pandemic due to my TikToks and the live productions that I do. And it's taken off, man. I'm very happy that they've recognized me for that.
Yeah. So talk a little bit about that shift in your style. I mean,
Yeah.
How did that, I mean, that's a pretty big change. Talk a little bit about how that came about.
Absolutely. I mean, during the pandemic, before that, prior to that, we were averaging about 156 concerts a year, whether it's events or concerts. And that's been consistent for the past 10, 12 years. So it's been a crazy career, consistent career. And then the pandemic hit, nothing, obviously no events, no concerts, at least not here, because in Canada, we shut down everything. And so I decided, you know what, I didn't even like the virtual concert thing. I felt like you can't hear the quality properly. You're not interacting with the fans. There's a delay. It's just so ugly. So what I did was I said, you know what, let's go to some other platforms and show people how I make music, how I make and produce my songs. Because a lot of people don't even know that I produce my own records. A lot of artists get producers, mixers, mastering guys to do it. I literally do everything in-house. I've always done it in-house. So I said, you know what, why not show them? It's sort of an educational platform anyway for TikTok. And it blew up. I went like viral with it. And I've been consistent ever since. And what's cool is that whatever I produce live for TikTok, we're actually releasing them on Spotify and monetizing them. So it's all making sense.
Great. And how would you describe the sort of dance music style that you're cultivating?
You know what? It's a blend. I would say it's a blend of deep house, future house, slap house, and some pop sentiments in there, so it's just a bunch of energy and let's go. I don't know, man. Look, it was a total mistake that I got into dance music, to be honest. I was just messing around. I'm like, okay, let me try a hip-hop song, okay, let me try an R&B song, and let me try a dance record, so let's put 122 BPM. And it's not like I'm a connoisseur of like dance music. I've never really been like, I would never go to some of the festivals, but I would hear it out there, and I kind of, I'm a musician. I heard what kind of kicks they're using, snares, bass lines, and I was just sort of trying it out. And that was Getaway, which was essentially nominated for June, my first attempt at it. So that's pretty crazy to be the top 5 dance recording artist in the country in my first shot.
So what is it that you look for when you're doing new music? What is it these days that you're looking for that next Africa? What is it that you want? What is it that you're looking for?
Great question. I just like, as a musician, I think everyone feels this. We love to connect with the audience, right? So whatever is going to be connecting in a big way, where we could celebrate it as a big party. That's kind of when I'm making a single, especially when you're just working on one song, not an album, but when you're working on one song, I literally go out to my window here and look at the whole city. And I'm just thinking, if I was performing to 25,000 people, what would I want to convey? What kind of energy? What meaning? How do I want the vocal to hit when everything drops? And how do I want the drop to go hard? That's kind of what I'm thinking about, beyond anything, beyond like, oh, I want the number one again. I want to be Africa again. I want to do it like that again. I'm thinking more, how do I connect with the audience? And I think that's probably the right way to think about it.
Yeah. Before we go into the fan stuff, I just wanted to hit this other thing, because in that statement you made about the Juno Awards, you mentioned the fact that you were an immigrant from Lebanon and you left during the Civil War, and I'm assuming that's a reference to what's going on in Ukraine. Talk a little bit about that and what that means to you.
Yeah, I mean, I totally relate to all that. I mean, Lebanon is still going through stuff. It's always been. think about it. It's in the Middle East. It's right sandwiched between Syria and Israel. Like, this is the holy land of where Jesus was from. You know, it's a really hot topic over there, and it's always been. So being from there and seeing what my parents went through during the Civil War, I was lucky. We left, you know, when I was 3 years old, so I didn't really experience any of that. But through my parents' stories and seeing what they lost, you know, our houses, our families, it really affects me, and that's sort of where I took it and where I understand, and I can be empathetic to the Ukrainian people for sure these days. You know, it's really tough what's going on in the world, especially after the pandemic, when we're just trying to get over something, you know. So yeah, I think, you know, it's definitely affecting me. I still haven't put any music to it yet, but it'll probably happen.
And one other question related to your childhood. I mean, does that musically influence you at all? Do you have some sort of Middle Eastern, so to speak, influences in your music?
Oh, totally. That's how I kind of started, and that's how I got some attention at the beginning of my career. I remember, you know, I was into R&B and seeing what's going on with R&B pop, with Usher, even Justin Timberlake at the time. And funny enough, I sort of opened up for NSYNC in Miami, in South Beach. We're talking 15 years ago, but my song was an Arabic Middle Eastern influence with a bit of R&B in it. And I did it on purpose because I'm like, man, let me drag from my culture. Let me, you know, sometimes you think, look, do I just become the second Justin Timberlake, or do I become the first Karl Wolf, you know? And that's a pivotal moment in an artist's career, where you make that realization that you got to be the first of who you are, even though it's not popular, even though it's something that's so unique to you. And why is that? It's not even trending. Yeah. But it actually worked, because without you knowing, there's fans everywhere around the world that are like, man, I'm proud of this guy. This guy created something fresh and he's representing me. So that opened a cool career for me, to be honest. And then Africa was just at the right spot at the right time, and then it hit.
Yeah. And I also read that the name Wolf actually comes from like a childhood name.
Yeah. So I was in the basketball team in my high school basketball team. And I was, you know, I'm 5'8", and, you know, short point guard, fastest guy on the team. They would call me the Wolf. They would kind of do this symbol, and people used to call me the Wolf because of Teen Wolf, Michael J. Fox, at the time. And yeah, it got, you know, I just said, my name is Karl Wolf.